is what I like to refer to this kind of work as on a Glock pistol today. This is a Gen 4 Glock 35. It has been converted to a Gen 3 recoil spring system. It's a solid stainless steel guide rod. This is kind of like the guide rod bushing in here, if you will. Kind of convert this from the Gen 4 stuff back to the old ways of the Gen 3. Just kind of like the way that operates, because I'm an old school kind of guy like that, I guess. But that's what this is exactly. So what I want to talk to you about it first is we'll do the action job. And the action job usually starts with me polishing this area right here, the slide. I refer to that as the slide cocking lug. And what you want to do is you want to get you about a 3,000 grit, 2,000 grit, something like that. And maybe cut something like this so it fits a little strip into your finger. You could just work it in there, back and forth. Polish that up real good. Get those casings to slide in and out of that magazine. And when this action cycles, it'll ride over the magazine and just a little easier. Just makes the little less friction on the gun. Helps out just a little bit. And that's what I'll do here. When I'm done polishing this and it becomes nice and shiny from the sandpaper, I'll put maybe like a little dab on a Q-tip of polishing compound, and I'll work it the same way like that. Finger banging this thing up and down like that. And she usually come out nice and shiny. And that's pretty much all I would recommend on the slide, aside from the striker and the firing pin block. I also like to polish that too. I like to take this out though, so I could polish the sides of it. A little friction from this firing pin block going up and down. So also, what I like to do is a little trigger job, and what I'll do is I'll polish the striker. I'll push down on this little spring cup that's in here, and push down on that back plate. Get the striker out of there. And what I like to do here is basically the same thing I like to do to the slide cocking lug, which is I'll polish this this front part right here to a nice shine with the 3,000 grit, 5,000 grit, 2,000 grit, something like that. We could always work your way up. I like to polish it, get it nice and shiny with the 2,000, 3,000 grit or whatever you got, and get that part nice and shiny, because when you pull the trigger, it kind of finishes cocking this back and letting the striker go forward. So there's a little friction right there on that part, and the smoother it is, the smoother trigger pull you're gonna get. Don't want to deform anything, not trying to change any angles or anything. Just want to get this nice and shiny. Hope it comes out in the camera pretty good for you. But you just want to get that front part nice and shiny, and that'll help you give you a trigger pull. So you're pretty much done with the slide. Although you could take the Dremel to it, I would like to use a larger felt wheel like this and just polish it like that and go over it with the Dremel. You don't need to do that, but if you get bored, I mean, you could always do it. Also, I would like to do the same thing with the feed ramp right here. I like to polish that, the feed ramp in the chamber. Get that nice and shiny. Get the friction off the chamber, off the feed ramp. So when the bullets come out of the magazine, they just glide right in there. And you could do that by, again, let's take a 3,000 grit. And you just want to go up and down, side to side if you want to. And get that finish, that roughness off of there. You're just trying to smoothen it out, not trying to deform it and take material off or change angles or anything like that. You just want to get it nice and smooth. And when you're done with that, you probably want to use some polishing compound. And you could use this smaller wheel. I like to use a medium wheel, I call it, a felt polishing wheel. And what I'll do is I'll put some polishing compound, and I'll just work it. I'll just work it like that, like that, like that. Nice and slow, nice and slow. That's the name of the game, you know. And if you want to, you could actually use a little one like this, a little felt wheel, a smaller one. Put the Dremel in so it fits that way, and polish the inside of the chamber a little bit just to get that ammo feeding in there very slick, very smooth. And that's how you would do an action job on a Glock or most any kind of pistol, really. The trigger job will give you a slightly polishing this part of the striker, give you a slightly better trigger pull. Not a great trigger pull. Don't be expecting you know, a miracle to happen, you know, but it will give you a slightly nicer trigger pull, which everyone kind of likes a nice trigger pull. It gives it a little nicer trigger pull. Don't expect miracles like I told you a minute ago, but it does make it a little nicer, a little easier pull, a little bit more accurate. But yeah, so you want to polish the chamber, polish the feed ramp, the striker, that little face of the striker right here. That always gets a nice, good little polish. And you have an action job and a trigger job for maybe a half an hour of your time. And that completes the Glock fluff and buff. And that is something I always do with all my Glocks. This is a Gen 4 Glock 35. And so is this. Another Gen 4 Glock 35. I do it to all of them. And as well as the trusty Glock 29 10mm Magnum Power. Little nice carry pistol right there. So, action job, trigger job. This has other things done to it, some springs, a trigger, connector. It's nice, but if you want an action job and a trigger job, that's pretty much how you do it on any Glock. Stay tuned, we'll do other pistols to come. Bye.